Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. We're gonna cover again Unit 2, and today we're gonna speak about different topic. But before, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Miriam. I'm your math instructor at Penn. I'm here with the team since 2015, and I have master's in education in urban education. I just earned that not yesterday, last year, and I have a Pennsylvania certification for teaching math in the state of Pennsylvania. And today's webinar, as we usually do, we will have the presentation. We're going to go through different topics. Usually those topics are the most challenging topics that students find challenging within that section of the unit. Within also the webinar, we're gonna have self-check questions. Those questions are for you to assess yourself and see how you are doing on each topic that we cover today. These questions are not graded. I do not look at who got the question wrong or right. This is for you, only for you to assess yourself. Also, you have a chance to ask your questions by typing your questions in the questions box. The raise your hand feature does not work on our webinar. And also all registrants for this webinar will receive the recording after a few hours after the conclusion of the webinar. So keep an eye on your email. You will get a follow-up email with the button that says watch recording, and from there you're able to watch the webinar again. Today, we're going to still work on the basic math review, and we still are working on the units. Today, we're going to cover the metric units. So the metric units are the ones that we do not use in the States. The metric units, as we said the last webinar, are the meters, kilometers, kilograms, the kind of the units that are used in most other countries. We're also going to learn how to convert from the English, our system, to the metric, the other system of units. To have a look at the metric units, I have put together the tables for the most commonly used metric units. Meters, kilometers, centimeters, millimeters, kilograms, grams, and megagrams. Megagrams are the tons. So if you hear anyone from a foreign country saying a ton, they mean the megagram, but we just have it as a megagram in our study unit so we don't confuse the ton with our English ton. The English ton that has a 1,000 pounds, the megagram here has 1,000 kilos. So whenever we are solving a conversion problem, whether you are converting from one system to another or from one unit to another, if you are changing kilometers to meters, for example, you need to locate the conversion factor. You want to know how many meters in 1 kilometers. And remember from the last webinar and also from the proportion section on the last webinar, we spoke about how to use proportions to solve conversion problems. And we spoke about two methods. One is to determine which unit is larger, which unit is smaller, and then decide are we going to divide or multiply times the conversion factor. That was method one. Method two was to just right away go ahead and set up a proportion without having to care which unit is bigger and which unit is smaller. And from the last webinar, if you remember, we said that the method two in the metric conversion would be the most suitable one for us because we do not use the metric units in our daily lives. So it's going to be hard for us to think about the metric units and see which one is bigger than the other. And so that is why we are going to go ahead and use method two, the proportion, without having to care about which unit is big and which unit is small. So the proportion, if you set it correctly, if you set it up correctly, you'll be able just to do the operations, multiply and divide, and you have your answer. So all you have to do then is to locate that conversion factor, set up the proportion correctly, solve the proportion. So let's look at examples. How many kilometers? In 1,259 meters. So now I know that the question wants us to relate kilometers with meters. I'm going to go ahead and find the relationship between kilometers and meters. So we know that 1 kilometers equals to 1,000 meters. So the way I'm going to set up the proportion is as follows. The first fraction would be the factual information. The factual information is that 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 meters. Remember that proportion is two equal fractions. So we have one, and the other would be the information given in the question. I'm trying to figure out how many kilometers in 1,259 meters. And remember also, with a proportion, we have to be consistent with the order. So we have a kilometer and meter. So we have to keep the same order, kilometer and meter. So always kilometer will be on the top and meter will be on the bottom. Okay, what if you want to go with meter on the top and kilometer on the bottom? You are able to do that. Just keep the same order on the second fraction. If you go meter, kilometer, then you have to go meter, kilometer. So since we're looking for 1,259, that would be the value on the denominator of the second fraction, and the unknown would be how many kilometers in that much meters. If you remember, we solve proportion this way. We multiply the two known values and then divide over the remaining values. So multiply and divide. So your answer would be 1 times 1,259, which is going to be the same, 1,259 divided by 1,000. So you are really going to do 1,259 divided by 1,000, and that will give you the answer in kilometers. That would be 1.259 kilometers. So there are 1.26, if you want to round it up, kilometers in 1,259 meters. So this is how we deal with unit conversion. Any questions? Okay, if you just join us with the webinar, you're able to type your questions on the questions box, and please keep them relevant to what we speak about during this webinar. So what else we are able to convert? We have the mass units. Mass is the weight. Well, in science, weight and mass is different, but for our everyday uses, mass is the weight. So when you weigh like a bag of apples, you're trying to find the mass of that bag of apples. So the unit of mass for metric units are the common ones are kilograms, grams, and megagrams. So how many grams? In 250 kilograms. The same idea. I don't have to think about which one is bigger, which one is smaller. I'm just going to go ahead and set up my proportion correctly. So a proportion is two equal fractions. I have factual information. Since the relationship I have in that question is grams and kilograms, I'm going to go ahead and look at my conversion tables and see what is the relationship between grams and kilograms. There are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So the factual information that we know from the table, 1 kilogram is equivalent to 1,000 gram. Now, the information from the question, they're trying to know how many grams in 250 kilograms. So 250 kilograms will go on the top because the kilograms here on the top. And then the bottom, of course, is going to be the grams. Last step, you want to solve the proportion, then multiply and divide. Multiply, cross multiply the two known values and divide over the remaining known value. So we get multiply 250 times 1,000 over 1. So it's the same as 250 times 1,000 because over 1 is not going to change the answer. So you multiply and your answer would be 250,000 grams. 250,000 grams are in 250 kilograms. Any questions? Anything that was not clear or did not make sense? Okay, let's go on to the next question. Now, the next question is a little bit complex. You may find that part of your exam, you may not, but I thought just to cover this, just in case, if you have to convert uh, a big unit, for example, to a really small unit, or the other way around, a really tiny unit to a very big unit. And in this case, how many millimeters in 750 meters? If you look at the conversion tables, you may not find a direct relationship mentioned for meters and millimeters. So we will have to have an intermediate step to be able to convert meters to millimeters. If you look at the table, we know a relationship between meters and centimeters, and then centimeters to millimeters. What we're trying to do is to get from here to there, but we have to go through the centimeters first. To be honest with you, these days with technology and everything is available, you are able to look up how many millimeters in 1 meter. It's not a big deal. But let's just say that you do not have access to that information and all you are provided with is the conversion table. So in this case, we have to have two proportions, one to convert meters to centimeters, and the other one to convert centimeters to millimeters. So let's do that together. So again, the first proportion have two fractions. Factual information from the table, I know that 1 meter is equivalent to 100 centimeters. Now I need to know how many centimeters then in 750 meters, and that way I'm converting meters first to centimeters. So it's a proportion. I have only one missing value, then cross multiply and divide. So multiply 750 times 100, and that will give you 75,000 centimeters in 750 meters. And that's not our answer, because our answer should be in millimeters. So again, I'm going to convert centimeters to millimeters. I need another proportion. So in this proportion, I'm going to convert centimeters to millimeters. From the table, I know that 1 centimeter equals to 10 millimeters. Now I know that I have 75,000 centimeters, which are actually equivalent to the 750 meters. I'm trying to find the equivalency for in millimeters, and I need to know how many millimeters in that. Again, a proportion, then the same thing. You need to cross multiply the two known values and divide over the remaining values. So 75,000 times 10 will give you 750 and other 3 zeros. 750,000 millimeters in 750 meters. Questions? Anything that was not clear? Okay, let's go ahead to another question of the same kind. How many kilometers in 1,356 centimeters? Again, I'm going to look at the table. I'm going to try to find the direct relationship given to me in the table between kilometers and centimeters. Well, I see that I have a kilometer to meter and meter to centimeters. So it seems I have to have an intermediate step. I need to change centimeters to meters first, and then meters to kilometers. The same thing, two proportions. The first one, I'm going to change centimeters to meters. So I can say, well, 1 meter, according to the table, equivalent to 100 centimeters. And I know in the question, it's asking me about the 1,356 centimeters. What would be the equivalency in meters? Cross multiply and divide. 1 times 1,356 is the same number, and then divide over 100. That will give you 13.56 meters. It's going to be meters because we're looking for meters. So there are 13.56 meters in 1,356 centimeters, but that's not our answer. We need our answer in kilometers. So again, another proportion. 1 kilometer, according to the table, is equivalent to 1,000 meters. And I have 13.56. Notice that I just keep the order, the same order. I have my meters on the bottom, then I have to keep the meters on the bottom as well for the second fraction. Otherwise, the proportion will give me an incorrect answer. And then what is the equivalency in kilometers? Same idea. I'm going to cross multiply and divide. 1 times 13.56, the same number, and then divide over 1,000. Then there are 0.0135 kilometers in 1,356 centimeters. Questions? Anything that was not clear? And I don't need to say that if you feel comfortable using method 1 that we went over in webinar 1, where you have to decide which one is bigger, centimeters or kilometers. Where kilometers is bigger, then go ahead and multiply times the conversion factor. You can do that as well. I'm just giving you the best method from my experience that works with students when we still starting to learn how to convert units, especially if those units are the ones that we do not deal with in our everyday life. Next. Okay, a self-check question. Again, it's not graded. This is only for you to try. And after we read the question, I'm going to change my screen to give you an option to choose the correct answer. You are buying 125 bags of soil fertilizer. Each bag weighs 1,200 grams. Your truck can hold up to 1 megagram. To decide if you're able to load your truck with all 125 bags, you need to figure out how many megagrams are the bags. So you want to see if your trucks can hold all the 125 bags, or it's going to be too much for your truck, so you're not going to do any damage for your truck and just decide not to take all 125 bags. So here you need unit conversion. You need to figure out which units you're converting to. The one tip I want to give is that if each bag weighs 1,200 grams and you have 125 bags of these, then how many grams is your load? And it's obvious that you are changing from grams to megagrams. Okay, so I'm gonna change my screen, and you're able to think about the question and choose your answer as well. I'm going to wait for another about 10 seconds for everyone to finalize their work and participate, and then we can do the question together. Okay, let's do the question together. If you did not have a chance to enter your answer yet, it's no problem. If you figure out that your answer is incorrect, it's no problem. We're just learning. So it's not a place to judge anyone or to tell anyone that you'll never learn conversion at all. This is a learning cycle. So we're learning. I'm learning too. So let's look at the question and think about it together. So the total number of grams our load is, it comes from multiplying the number of bags, 125, times the 1200 grams. So if you multiply these two numbers, it will give you the total number of grams your load is, 150,000, 150,000 grams that you're trying to see if your truck will take that or no. So now we're trying to change from then grams to megagrams because the capacity for our truck is in megagrams. So I'm trying to change from grams to megagrams. Now look at the table. I have a relationship between grams and kilograms, and then from kilograms to megagrams. So it seems that it's going to be a double proportion question. Or if you're able to figure out how many grams in 1 megagram, you can go ahead and do one single proportion. So let's do it the way it is in our table, assuming that we don't have any extra information. So we're going to do, our plan is to convert grams to kilograms, and then finally to megagrams. Okay, so the first proportion is going to be factual information with the grams and the kilograms. 1 kilogram equivalent to 1,000 grams. Then if we have 150,000 grams, how many of these, or how many kilograms in these grams then? So it's a proportion, multiply, cross multiply, and divide. So 1 times 150,000 is the same, 150,000 divided by 1,000. So that will let us know that there are 150 kilograms in that much load. Now I need to figure out how many megagrams in 150 kilograms. And here comes our second proportion. So we know from the table 1 megagram is equivalent to 1,000 kilograms. If I have 150 kilograms, then how many is that in megagrams? Again, I'm going to do the cross multiply and divide. 1 times 150 is 150. Then I have to divide 150 over 1,000. So 150 over 1,000. That will give you 0.15 megagrams. Because if you're dividing over 1,000, remember you are shifting the decimal point 1, 2, 3 to the left. So that's why our answer is a 0.15, not 1.15. So since the load is much less than the capacity of the truck, then yes, the truck is able to hold that much bags. So our answer is B. Questions? Okay, let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is that we now know how to convert from English units to other English units. We know how to change from metric units to other metric units. What about if we want to change from English to metric or metric to English? The same idea, by the way. we're going to use conversion tables. The conversion tables will let us know how many English units in a specific metric units, either in length or mass. And we're going to do the proportion as well. So nothing will change. The only thing that will change are the numbers that we're going to use, the conversion factors. These are the only thing that we're going to use. And that is the good thing for the method number 2, because when you think about a yard and a meter, you have to really think which one is bigger. You have to look it up. You have to do some calculations to figure out which one is bigger, yard or a meter, and then decide if you're going to multiply or divide over the conversion factor. With method 2, you do not have to figure out which metric unit is larger than which English unit. You just do the proportion using the information given in the table, and you will have your answer right away. So let's look at some problems. Now the steps that we're going to follow again: find the conversion factor, set up a proportion the right way, and solve the proportion. Example: how many kilometers in 3,500 miles? So now we're changing the English units, the miles, to metric units, kilometers. Now I'm not gonna, invent anything. We have everything given to us in the table. We know that 1 mile, this is facts, 1 mile equals to 1.6093 kilometers. Since I have a direct relationship between miles and kilometers, it's a one proportion answer. So I know 1 mile, this is where the factual information goes, 1 mile is 1.6093 kilometers. Then how many miles, how many kilometers are in 3,500 miles? Cross multiply and divide. 3,500 times 1.6093. Of course, you're able to use your calculator. You are not expected to multiply a big whole number like that times a decimal just using, pen and paper. I mean, you can, but we're not learning how to multiply now. We're learning how to convert from English units to metric units. So I would advise that you use a calculator in this case. So when you multiply and divide over 1, you will have 5,632.55 kilometers in 3,500 miles. Questions? Anything that was not clear? Okay, let's move on to another problem. How many feet in 490 centimeters? I don't have to think which one is bigger and which one is smaller. Well, we know that centimeter is smaller, but sometimes it gets tricky with grams and ounces, with things that we're not sure which one is bigger and smaller. I don't have to care about that in method 2. Just set up a proportion knowing the facts. The fact is 1 feet. That's right from the table. 1 feet equals to 30.48 centimeters, 30.48 centimeters. So set up a proportion. Our facts, 1 feet, again, equals to 30.48 centimeters. So how many feet in 490 centimeters? Again, cross multiply and divide. So 1 times 490 would be 490 over or divided by 30.48, and that will give you that 490 centimeters is equivalent to 16.08 feet. I'm going to double check the numbers. So I'm going to punch in that on my calculator. 490 divided by 30.48, and the answer is correct. Third example, how many pounds and 30 megagrams? If you look back at the chart or the conversion table, you will not find a direct relationship between pounds and megagrams. You will find the relationship between megagrams and kilograms and pounds. So it seems that we have to do a double proportion to get to the answer. So our plan is to convert megagrams to kilograms and from kilograms to pounds. Now, what are the facts that we know from the conversion table? We know that 1 pound equal to 0.4536 kilogram and 1 megagram, that's an M, megagram equals to 1,000 kilograms. Okay, step one, we have 1 megagram equals to 1,000 kilograms. And that's our first step. And on the second fraction, I'm going to have the 30 megagrams on the top because I have it on the top on the first fraction. And then how much would that be in kilograms? What I'm going to do, I'm going to cross multiply and divide. 30 times 1,000 is, of course, 30,000. So 30,000 what? Kilograms. And that's not my answer. This is only an intermediate step. So I get to the pounds. So to get to the final answer, I need a second proportion. Now I'm going to do the second step of our plan. We have to change kilograms to pounds. So 1 pound equals to 0.4536 according to the table, kilograms. You can put 1 pound on the top and the kilograms on the bottom. It's up to you, but you have to keep the same order on the second fraction. Now, what would be the 30,000 kilograms in pounds? Simply multiply and divide. So it's the same as dividing 30,000 over 0.4536. So if you divide that, you will find out that the answer is 66,137.57 pounds. So there are that many pounds in 30 megagrams. Questions? Anything that was not clear or you want me to go over again? Okay, let's go to the self-check question. You are visiting the UK and would like to buy 2.5 pounds of apples from a nearby market. And you know that in the UK, they use kilograms and grams. They do not use pounds as we do here in the States. You want to use the scale available to weigh the apples. What should the digital scale read in kilograms? You want to buy 2.5 pounds of apples. What would be the reading on the scale just to get the 2.5 pounds in kilograms? I'm going to put the question up and you can think of the question and select your answers. I'm going to wait for another about 10 seconds for everyone to have a chance to participate. What would be the reading on the scale if it's going to display the units in kilograms? Okay, let's do the question together. And we are converting pounds. We're converting pounds to kilograms, obviously, and there is a direct relationship between the pounds and the kilograms from our conversion table. 1 pound is equal to 0.4536 kilograms. Then it's going to be simple as one proportion. 1 pound is equivalent to 0.4536 kilograms. Keep the order on the second fraction. So on the top, I'm going to have the 2.5 pounds. And then I'm going to have how many kilograms on the bottom. I'm just going to multiply and divide 2.5 times that number. It's going to give you that 2.5 pounds. Let me make sure the calculations. 2.5 times 0.536 equals to 1.134 kilograms, or you can just say, let's round it, it's 1.13 kilograms. So the answer in this case would be C. If you see that reading on the scale, that it means that you have the 2.5 pounds of apples. Questions? Okay, that concludes my math part of my webinar. The second part is always that I need to remind you of how to study for the exams. You need to read the unit. There is no escape, I should say, from reading the units. You need to read the units yourself. You need to pick up the pen and paper, keep a notebook, do the practice questions, do the discover more questions. If you want to watch this webinar again, you're welcome to do so. It's going to be emailed to you in a follow-up email within a few hours. If you have some answers for the practice questions or discover more questions, we also have provided you with the answer key. So if you're working on a question, you had, for example, your answer is 1,000 kilograms, but the answer key says 3 kilograms. It's obviously there is something wrong. So you need to go back and see where should you study from the lesson to revisit that concept so you have the right answer. Also, an extra resource, it's not mandatory for you to do. Khan Academy, we have free online videos on math and other subjects. And the subject or the video that corresponds to today's webinar is, if you go to their website, khanacademy.org, on the top left corner of the screen, click on subjects and click on 5th grade. And then click on or choose measurement and data, and then choose the unit conversion lesson. It's not required, but something extra if you'd like to see extra information or extra resources. How can you seek for help? You can call the school and ask for help in math. You can schedule an appointment with a teacher assistant or an instructor using this link, and you're able to choose your time and the date that you want us to call you back. You can text message, but just make sure it's a brief question, or you can email or chat about your questions or inquiries. To email the instructor, most of you guys have a hard time finding where to email an instructor. If you have this kind of the account on the left here, you want to click on Help Center, click on Find Answers as Ask a Question. You may have to click on the search button without typing any keywords here, and then this option will appear. It's Contact Us, click on it, and you'll be able to fill out like a form with a subject and questions, and just submit your question to us. Or if you have a different kind of account, they are the same thing, the same functionality, they just look different. You want to go to Help Center, you want to click on the search button if you have to, click on Contact Us, and type in your questions. Now, if you want to chat, here is a chat feature as well. With the chat, of course, you want to make sure that you have brief questions. What's my GPA? What should I do for this class? How come I don't see the questions for this exam? And so on. And thank you. I appreciate your attendance and your participation in this webinar. There is a survey, very short survey, 3 questions, just for me to see how did I do today in the webinar. You can provide your opinion and submit your answers. And of course, you can watch the webinar again. If you have questions on today's webinar, you can email or chat. Any questions today before I conclude the session? Well, if you then have any further questions, you know how to speak to an instructor or connect with them with your questions. I wish you all the best in the exam. Have a good day.